It's well known that many hair transplant clinics are doing really terrible hairlines. So the client ends up with something that looks fake and unnatural and just horrible. And the reason for this is that the client themselves don't really understand what a natural hairline is supposed to look like. They can't really push back on the clinic when the clinic proposes something. So in this video, I'm going to take you through what makes a natural hairline so that you are educated and you give yourself the best chance on finding that perfect hairline that actually makes you look good. Let's go. Watching My Hair Implants, the best YouTube channel on all things hair transplant. My name is Jabril. What do you mean you still haven't subscribed? First really important aspect is placement of the hairline. Where do you place the hairline? Do you place it quite high where it is now maybe, or do you bring it down? If you are younger, then you can get away with a lowish hairline, but even that has a limit. You don't want to bring it so low that it looks weird and it's strange. The human eye is actually trained very well at spotting things that don't fit in the normal patterns. So somebody with a hairline just above their eyebrow, it's just going to look weird and odd. If you want to see the impact of where you place the hairline has on your look, do a little experiment. Just get a beanie hat and just wear a beanie hat and just bring the edge to different places along your forehead. Start here and just bring it lower gradually, and then see how you look. You'll find that you look quite different than when you have it up here and when you have it just above your eyebrows. It's always a little bit better for the hairline to be a little bit too high maybe than too low, because too low you can't really reverse it. If it's too high, you can always have future hair transplants to bring it down a little bit lower, but once it's too low, you're kind of stuck. Second aspect is the shape of the hairline. So most of us have corners in the hairline. So the hairline is kind of straight here and then it goes in and then it comes down. It has kind of contours. So you really want to mimic that. You don't want a hairline that is completely straight like you're wearing some Alice band. Again, that's just going to look silly. It's going to look weird, and it's going to look even weirder as you grow older, because old men don't really have straight hairlines like that. So you'd be stuck with it. The next really important aspect is thickness or density of the hairline, and this is one area where some clinics really completely get wrong. In a natural hairline, you notice that the hair at the edge, right at the front of the hairline, is a little bit thinner and kind of is in single hair units than the hair further back, and this is what you want to mimic in a hair transplant. What some clinics do is they take hair, really thin single follicular unit hair, from the nape of the neck to implant it at the hairline, and that gives that gradual change in thickness where you have thinner hair right at the edge of the hairline, and then as you go back into the scalp, the hair gets thicker because you are using grafts with 2, 3, 4 hairs. What you don't want to do, which is what some clinics do, is they take follicular grafts that have more than one hair in them, that are thicker and more numerous than single hair grafts, obviously, and they implant it at the hairline. So your hairline just doesn't have that nice gradual build up of thickness. It just starts with thick. That's it. It just thick, and it makes it look like a wig. Next important aspect is direction of growth. So if you notice a natural hairline, the hair kind of grows in a very natural direction that aligns with the rest of the scalp. You don't have hair that is kind of, which is what I see in some clinics work. We'll see those pictures later. Some clinics, you see the client ends up with hair that is at the edge of the hairline that is kind of vertical, just standing up like that. I mean, natural hairlines don't do that. Natural hairlines grow in a kind of a natural direction that aligns with everything else, not standing up vertically like that. Now let's see some examples of good hairlines and bad hairlines, and just to be fair, I'm not going to reveal the clinics. I've obscured the clinic's details. So just want to point to a couple of issues with this particular hairline. The first thing you notice is when you look at it, you kind of have to do a double take because it just doesn't look natural. It almost looks like a block of hair was taken and placed like a hairpiece on his head. And there are a couple of reasons for that. Look at the original hairline. It kind of got a shape like it goes from here and then it goes in and then it comes out. So that's his natural hairline. And look at the hairline after the procedure. It's completely straight. It's just a straight line. You might as well, draw this with a ruler. So that's one problem. And the second issue is the placement. It is a little lower than his original natural hairline. So his original natural hairline kind of starts somewhere here, but look where they've drawn the hairline here. That is significantly lower than his original hairline,
and that is going to change the way he looks. It's just going to give the hairline a lot more kind of fake look. Now let's have a look at this particular case. Again, a hairline that looks slightly unnatural, and there are a couple of reasons for this as well. The placement is not actually that bad with this, although I can't really tell where his original hairline was. Maybe if it was somewhere here, then obviously this placement would be far too low. What looks quite strange is, well, again, by the way, the hairline is far too straight. I don't think this guy's natural hairline was this straight. What's a bigger issue is the hairline itself. The hairline looks a little bit pluggy, especially in this area here in the center. It looks a little bit pluggy, and the reason for that, I think, is because they used the wrong hair type for the hairline. So for hairline, you're meant to use what we call single hair grafts. So these are hair grafts with just single hairs, usually taken from the back of the neck where the hair is quite thin. This is how your natural hairline is. The hair starts thin and then gradually gets thick as you move back towards the mid scalp. They've not done that here. They've just taken hair that is extra thick, that is in multiples of 2s and 3s and 4s, and they just planted it on the hairline, and therefore you get this kind of Ken doll look. This particular one is of an African American client, and if you look at his original hairline, look where his original hairline is somewhere up here, and they've brought it down here. I think, in my opinion, that's far too low. If you also notice, they've brought for some reason, are they intending to bring the temples and the sides forward as well? I'm not sure. But the hairline first is far too low. This does not look natural. Let's just zoom out a little bit. That doesn't look terribly natural. It almost looks like a hairpiece, especially for people who've known what this guy looked like before. The transformation is just going to be too much. People are going to be, doing a double take and saying, dude, have you got a hairpiece? What's happened? If they kept his hairline somewhere around here, then it would have looked a lot more natural. And again, they've made the same mistake with this guy, like with the other client that we've just seen, is the hairline is just far too straight and far too thick. But because this guy is kind of African American, I think he can get away with this a bit more because he can just shave down his hair and just have an outline or something. So there's room for maneuver for him, unlike with the other two clients, I think anyway. Well, this is a lovely hairline, and this is how a hairline is supposed to look. So a couple of things I want to point out with this particular hair transplant is, look how the final hairline follows the original hairline in terms of placement and the shape. So the shape is very similar. So this is his original hairline, kind of went this way and then curve, and then the final hairline is very similar. Also notice how the placement is very similar to the original hairline. So they haven't brought it down his hairline here. Again, that adds to the natural look. And finally, they're using thinner grafts at the hairline itself. So you have, if you look carefully at this guy, let's just zoom in a little bit. You can see at the front of the hairline, the hair here is quite thin, and then it gets thicker as you move back. That is how a natural hairline is supposed to look. I think this is the same guy that we saw from the front, and look how natural the hairline looks. I mean, nobody would look at this and say that he's had a hair transplant, and the reasons is exactly what I mentioned. Is the placement is spot on, the angles are spot on. They haven't been tempted to fill in the corners here, which is great, and this is why this hair transplant looks almost 100% natural compared to what we've seen before. This is another excellent hairline design. This one is on a more mature man, and for some reason his original hair looked quite fair, but it's darker afterwards. Again, the hairline is kept nice and high. I think they made this hairline a touch straighter, because if you notice, in his original hairline there's a kind of a corner here which has been filled in. Maybe that's because the patient asked for this, but it gives him that straighter hair. But maybe because he was a mature man, he said the plan was that if we make it a little bit straighter, it's going to make him a bit look a lot younger, which is fair enough. But they haven't overdone it, and the hairline is still nice and high, looks really natural. This is another excellent hairline, and again, this is, I think, slightly more mature man. Again, this ticks all the good boxes for a hairline. The hairline is really matching up to, the placement is matching up to where the original hairline was. That's perfect. and the corners are maintained. The hairline, the actual pattern and the line of the hairline follows what the original hairline was like. Again, perfect. For some reason the hair looks darker again, but the really interesting thing with this one is it's quite hard to see, but if you just look at the direction of growth here, notice the direction of growth of the hair follicles. With some of the previous pictures that we saw, the hair was almost standing up vertically, which was really weird and made the hairline look really pluggy. But look at this, I mean, you can just comb it wherever way you like, and the direction of growth, it just looks completely natural.
Now, over to you. Can you tell me in the comments below, what kind of hairline are you thinking of? Do you want a really high hairline that matches your current hairline, or do you fancy something a bit lower that makes you look younger? Let me know in the comments below. Make sure you subscribe. Take care. See you soon.